Spcace. I'm Kim Kral. I am reporting to you not live from my closet. I always crack like right before I hit record, I either crack myself up or I get real angry about something. So I'm always like really winded. Take a deep breath with me, please. Hi, I have some good news. I found a doctor and I have an appointment in a few weeks. And I was trying to find different doctors and they had already assigned me to some guy and my insurance, because I guess if you don't pick one, they just give you one. And I was like, ew, I don't want some guy for no other reason than, ew, I don't want some guy. And so I was trying to find other ones, and after just searching and like nothing, either they're not accepting new patients or they need referrals, or like every appointment they were available for like 9 months. I was like, all right, I guess I'll try this guy. Right. And so I scheduled an appointment, and then I I hit some buttons. I don't know why I do that. And then I got to burp. Then I looked up the guy, and I can't remember what his official title or what kind of doctor he is. So I don't know. It was some fancy doctor science stuff. But I looked it up, and I looked up, first of all, I looked up what his specific doctorness was. I don't know much about. And he specializes in long-term lung shit, which I was like, that's not what it specifically said. It said it in a sciencey way, but I was like, oh shit, that's like exactly what I need. And then I looked up all of his reviews on different sites, not just like Yelp, but a bunch of different sites. And there were several reviews that were like, this doctor not only took the time to listen to me, but then he also found the root of the cause of something I've been dealing with for 30 years. So like that was like several, like paraphrasing several. So it's very exciting. I'm very excited. Maybe he might be able to help me with my poop situation too. Guys, like I don't poop for 6 days. This is where I'm at now. And I get it. Like my body, like, I don't know. I feel like I don't know. Does everybody else feel like this? I feel like it's like in some sort of weird limbo or purgatory, the world right now. Like we're open back up, but there's just this weird impending doom happening everywhere. You know, like the climate crisis. We just found out today that it was just like, no matter what, I think we found out today or yesterday. We found out time isn't real. But it's like, no matter what we do now, it's pretty irreversible. Like we're going to say like apocalyptic shit in our lifetime, which is cool because it's like 100 corporations are the ones that are really the ones who are responsible for it, but they're also the ones who own that. They're the billionaires who are probably going to be cool when the apocalypse happens. So it's just like, there, and then, you know, the Delta variant, the whole vaccine fights, like just there, like there's just like this odd impending doom everywhere we look. And then, but then it's like, but the world's open back up again and we should get jobs and, you know, go out with our friends. And like, I just feel like it's this weird purgatory limbo. Like it's not ready yet. It is ready yet. So I feel all of my days just feel so bizarre. So I'm not pooping. There might be just like anxiety to it, but I've also have like decades worth of IBS. Sorry, I guess this is the poop scoop. Guys, I am out of poop stories and no one is sending me poop stories. One guy sent me an email. I will email you back. I appreciate you listening. I appreciate all of you listening. He did tell me, he was like, it's very entertaining. Your podcast is great, but sometimes it gets really dark. And then he told me I should be more entertaining. I think I'm unclear exactly what it meant, but so that's the podcast, man. I talk about dark shit sometimes because guess what? That's life. Like if you want just straight entertainment, I guess tune into the Simpsons. I don't know if I think they also talk about topical political shit too. Like I think there's nowhere you can look now that isn't going to just be straight entertainment, right? Like there's a lot going on. And I try to mix it in with some fun stories. I have some stories today that are interesting. To talk about are interesting, some comedy stories. But yeah, I'm hoping that, you know, this guy can help me out and maybe help me with my lung issue. I'm an inhaler person now. And I told myself I have 93 pumps left. So hopefully I get to see the doctor by the time 93 pumps isn't up yet. I don't know what I'm saying right now. But yeah, I just feel like, I don't poop for like 6 days. Like I poop kinda, you know what I mean? Like nothing's worse. I feel like there's nothing worse than an unsatisfying poop, right? I mean, I'm sure there's like 25,000 other things that are worse, but it's up there. It's like top 10 at least, right? Or it's like tied up there, right? I said 25,000 other things that are worse, but it's top 10. Mathematically, that makes no sense. But like, so I think, I don't know, I thought about like keeping track of how much I poop. Did I ever tell you guys this? The guy that my first love, my not a boyfriend in college, he was never officially my boyfriend ever. And I think I told you guys this story a long time ago. My first love, we're still friends and shit. I think, I don't know, I haven't talked to that guy in a long time, but the last time I saw him, we were with a few people from college and we were, having drinks. It's like, this was like, I don't know, 2018. 2017, Christmas 2017. The reason why I know that is because I had just met Jimmy the Dragon and I went to have drinks with my first love and was really pumped up to be able to tell him that I met someone, which now is really embarrassing because Jimmy the Dragon turned out to be Jimmy the Dragon. But I was like, yeah, I met somebody. But we're all sitting at drinks. It was really satisfying though, because we're all sitting at drinks and Adam proclaims loudly out of nowhere, you and I were together. Right? Like we had a relationship. And everyone just kind of looked at him and I was like, yeah. And he goes, yeah, we had a relationship. I was like, yeah, buddy. All of us had already caught, like, we're already on that train for like 18 years. Glad you hopped on, but he like denied it to whatever. But what was I telling? Oh, yeah. So in college, when we were not together, not boyfriend and girlfriend, I always called him my not boyfriend. Him and his roommate, for the whole freshman year had tallies on their mirror. It said like Adam. It had a tally, the tally of like 1, 2, 3, 5, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cross, right? And then Burke underneath. So they each had like 40 and it was the number increased a lot. And everyone on our floor was like trying to figure out what the tally was tallying, right? And of course, everybody was like, oh, it's definitely the number of girls they fucked or the number of girls they made out with or the number. And it had to do with like girls. And I was always just like, oh, secretly, I was cried, like dead inside. Every time someone was like, oh, it's the amount, I'm like, there's like 40 tallies up there. And I was devastated, right? But I never wanted to ask him because he was my not boyfriend. He wasn't my actual boyfriend. So I was just like, and it was such a dramatic relationship. So dramatic. But we, but at the end of the year, it was, we were like, okay, now you can find, because they were like, oh, we'll tell everybody at the end of freshman year, we'll tell everybody at the end of the year what it is. And so end of the year, we all gathered around and we we're like, what are the tallies? And they were like, how many times we shit in the dorm room? And I was like, yes, it's poop. It's not girls. And everybody else was like, ew, that's like anticlimactic. And I was like, it's not, it's wonderful. And it's funny because it's poop. And you guys know how I feel about that shit. And it also, but maybe I should start doing that. I'll start tallying how many times I poop. So I like don't go for like 5 or 6 days. And then I spend an entire day just like emptying out. And now in anticipation to that, I sort of plan the day. So today was the day, which wasn't great because I had like 6, which is cool. I had 6 auditions today. I still have 2 left, but it's awesome, right? Or 3 left. So 7 auditions? I don't know. It doesn't matter. But I usually, so I've been planning the day when I have nothing going on. So I'll like drink a concoction in the morning that'll just help it along. I'm like, you're going to shit for a full day anyway in the middle of the week and just ruin a Tuesday. So you might as well, at least try and have a little bit of control in it. So maybe this doctor will be able to help me. I'm going to spend the next couple of weeks figuring out how to write all of my feelings and shit down without telling that long story. Because what the 9 minutes of me trying to explain that to you, I would do that in the doctor's office and he'd be like, what? Who's Adam and Burke? I'm like, keep up, doctor. But so I'm out of poop scoops, everybody. I'm out of poop scoops. So I have thought long and hard about this. Long and hard. I am 97% sure I am not going to take one for the team and shit my pants somewhere. 97% sure. 3%. I mean, I almost pooped my pants like 4 or 5 times today. And I feel like every time I record this, this is the day, that's the day that I almost shit my pants, right? Yeah. So I almost did a couple of times today. And then at one point I was just like, I was in the middle of writing something. And I was like, if you poop your pants, you can clean it up here at home. And then I'm like, go to the bathroom. Why were you so casual about that? Go to the bathroom. But yeah, does anybody else feel like they're just like in a weird middle area or purgatory or whatever? Like, I feel like there's like 3 types of people I'm seeing right now. People that are like, woo, it's open, we're free. And they're going to like clubs maskless and then they're getting the fucking virus, right? Or there's people that are terrified and staying in and being like, I'm not leaving my home until 2027. It's fine. But most of those people I know have like a relationship and a remote job, right? And they're able to just do that. But I don't know, man. I just feel like we're in this weird hallway of life right now where it's hard to plan anything, and it's hard. Like the next couple of weeks are going to be a little tough for me. My booty bear is having his procedure, and it's just all really tough. Like we stopped taking his meds. For those of you who don't know, I have a cat. A booty bear is my cat Henry. He is my king, and he got hyperthyroidism last year. He spent a couple of days in the ER because he was panting, and cats aren't supposed to do that. And he almost gave himself a stroke. His numbers were so high. Worst day of my life. Hands down, the worst day of my life. And I was sexually abused, and that was worse. I mean, you get kind of used to the sexual abuse. That is so fucking grim. Is that what that guy was talking about, where it gets dark sometimes? Yeah, I only if you were molested will you ever laugh at my molestation jokes. Sometimes it's funny because I used to work with this guy who would make the jokes about my dad, and I would be like, oh yeah, you can't do that. You're not allowed to do that. And he would be like, gaslight me, be like, come on, you make the jokes. I'm like, cool. Well, when my dad starts to stick his fingers into your orifices while you're a child, you can make those jokes. But until then, fuck off, right? But he would always be like, if you're allowed to make them, I'm allowed to make them. And that's not how that works, friends. There's not a black and white on that kind of thing. But yeah, so well, how did I get back to that? But and so there's a cure for it. It's an iodine radioactive cure, I guess. They just like inject him with iodine and radiology. I'm not fully sure the terminology, just like I don't remember the name of my doctor. But and so what happens is we have to stop giving his meds for like 3 weeks, and then my doctor has to take x-rays and make sure he's eligible, and then make sure that he's like fine without the meds. So it's just, and he doesn't feel like he doesn't. My doctor yesterday was like, is he okay? How's he feeling? I'm like, oh, well, today's the first day without his meds. It's been like 2 hours since I would have given it to him. And now he's just kind of lethargic, and he has diarrhea too. So we've been diarrhea buddies today. Just kidding. I mean, I'm not kidding because that is what's been happening, but I'm kidding about being excited about it, sort of. Sometimes it's fun when the two of us, because the litter box is like 5 feet away from the toilet, and sometimes when we're pooping together, it's sort of, there's no way to come back from that, is there? There's no way to, but yeah, so the next couple of weeks I'm just really like freaked out. And that's, and then I'm just trying to get everything, resumes and everything up and ready. I'm taking this fucking class that you got to take as a bartender that I've taken every 2 years for like 15 years. And it's taught by the same dude. And it's just basically like, if you overserve someone and they kill somebody, you could get sued as a bartender. Here are some videos from the 1980s. And then that is and then the guy, I mean, and I've gone to this thing. I don't think I've ever talked about this. I've gone to this thing for so long. It's literally the same guy. It's the same dude. And usually it's in like the ArcLight, which is this massive movie theater, right? And it's like 15 to 20 bars, their whole staff. So the theater is pretty full, but there's like 10 people that listen, right? Everybody else, like I bring a book and I just read my book the whole time because it's literally the same thing. You just have to fill out a thing at the end of it to get your certificate. It's like this guy knows too. He's like, I don't care. I get paid to do this. So he's just like saying it while 50 to 300 people are reading something else, not even listening to him. But then there's those 10 people while we're passing around the fucking thing that we put our name in to get credit for it. Where he's like, is there any questions? And then those 10 fucking people have 7 zillion questions that keep us there an extra hour and a half. If you were one of those people that they're like, you're 100% the person who's like, teacher, you forgot our homework. You assigned us homework. You forgot to collect it. You're for sure that kid. Like, does anybody have any questions? No one should have any questions. Well, what if and it's like half and half really dumb people, really, really dumb people where they're really asking these idiotic questions because they're dumb. And then there's people who like to be like, I own a bar and or like, I've been bartending for 15 years and I've run into it's like, nobody gives a fuck. Rhonda. I don't know why her name's Rhonda, but I got to do that tomorrow. But it's on Zoom, so that's cool. So I'm just getting all this stuff ready. So voiceover. I guess I need a resume for certain jobs. I'm really trying to go after this thing as a freelance stuff, and I'm really fucking scared. And it's really exciting, but really fucking scary. So the next 3 weeks is just going to be Henry and my health, and resumes and organization. And then we'll hit the ground running in September, I guess. He's radioactive for like 2 weeks. So there's like rules. Lucy will be fine, I guess. This is really grim, but the reason why they're okay with like the radiology or whatever. And if you're like a science person and you're like, she's saying it wrong, I don't care. The reason why they'll be okay is they don't live long enough to see the effects of the radiation. But I do. So I have to buy a bunch of like flushable litter. I have to flush the litter. I can't put it in the dumpster. If I put it in the dumpster, I'll get flagged and talked to by someone in the federation in the government. I don't know. She was explaining to me and I was like, Jesus. And then I'm not allowed to sleep with him, and that's fine. He doesn't sleep with me in the summertime. It's too hot. And I only can pet him for like 30 minutes a day. It's a lot. So send some good vibes to the Kralski house. Send some good vibes to the Kralski house. I was thinking about, comedy is weird right now. Comedy is it's weird right now. It's like before. I'm going to try and articulate this. Before the world ended, it was very much like, who's grinding the most? I'm grinding the most. And it was obnoxious. And you had to like everybody was comparing. There was like 10 people who were like the cool kids and everybody wanted to be like the cool kids. But then there was like the alt comics who everything is high school, by the way. High school was just to help us prepare for the real world, because the real world is fucking high school. And it's like, if you learned, or the quicker you learn that it doesn't matter, any of this matters. Like I want to channel high school and junior high Kim, mostly junior high Kim. That bitch didn't give a fuck what I had 3 friends in junior high, 3 friends, Stephanie, Aspen, and Becca and Kira. And Becca, I think Becca really liked me. I don't think, because Becca got kind of popular in high school, but I think junior high, I was like sort of her only option. So she had to hang out with the 3 of us. And Stephanie, Kim, and Aspen would just we didn't care what anybody thought. Aspen and I played dolls at school most of the time. We'd piss our pants. One of us peed our pants at least once a day from laughing too hard. And then Kira had no friends either. I'd kill to find out where Kira was or is now. Kira... Oh man, she was just like a weird. First of all, she was the girl that had the mom that like if you were mean to her, the mom would like yell at you, and it's like, oh, Kira has to have, which makes it worse, by the way. If you were a mom that has a kid that gets picked on, don't teach the kid how to like stand up for itself. I'm just speaking from experience. Like I never had a dad that like, my parents never stood up for me when I was getting picked on, but my dad did. I was like, all the boys are throwing water balloons at me or whatever. And my dad would be like, I feel like this is all over the fucking place. My dad would be like, I don't know why you're in here. You got a hose, don't you? And I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Like it was never like, I'm going to go outside, because he knew if he walked outside and yelled at the bullies for me, I would get made fun of more. But if he taught me how to handle it, and look, Tom Kral did not do a lot right. There was a lot that guy they're not handing out any Father of the Year awards to that guy at all. But that was one thing that I agree with him as a parent, that he taught me how to handle it myself instead of like coming out and like, because my little brother was getting picked on. I don't know, when he was like in junior high or something. And my mom was like, and then I went outside. My mom was totally checked out when I was in high school and junior. Like when I was in school, my mom was not usually around. I know she's not around now. There was a period of like 5 years she was around, right? And that was my mid-adult life, or early adult life, I guess. But she's like, then I walked outside and I yelled at those kids and like I got in their faces and was like, you want to fight someone? I'll fight you. And I was like, oh, that made it worse. And she goes, why did it make it worse? It scared them. And I was like, yeah, because the crazy adult ladies out there screaming at them. But as soon as you're gone, they're going to make fun of him more. And she's like, oh, you think? And I'm like, yeah, I've been on both sides of it. I've been on the side of we make fun of them more, and I've been on the side of getting made fun of more 100% of the time. Maybe things have changed now. I don't know. But so Kira had one of those moms that like, so Kira got picked on a lot. And so, of course, she joined Kim, Stephanie, and Aspen because we were the ones that were like, yeah, you can be our friend. I mean, we just sit in the corner and laugh until one of us pees our pants every day. Every fucking day, at least one of us would pee our pants. And then it was like, and every day we were shocked it happened. Every day. Oh, man. It's so funny when they got married, those two. They were like, we were out and they were like, when did you tell your husband? And one of them, I can't remember which one, was like, I haven't. And then the other one, I think it was Aspen. Aspen was like, well, Kim hung out with my husband and Kim told him. She's like, you? And then Stephanie was like, you can't tell my husband. I'm like, we peed our pants. We were like 10, 12 or 13 actually. And sometimes in high school. And then once when I was like 19 in college, we laugh hard, maybe 3 times when I was in college. I don't know. I just always thought that just meant we had a lot of joy in our lives, you know? But so we had this friend, Kira. I don't know why I started to tell this story. We had this friend, Kira, who it was rumored that she stuffed her bra. And now that I look back on it, it's like, oh, of course she did. Like, it's like, I wish I had friends that told me to stuff my bra, then my social life would have probably been a little bit different. You know what I mean? Like we were like from birth, women's bodies are like made to be objectified. So of course that little girl did. She was, 12 and everyone was like, oh, Kimmy Kral doesn't have boobs. Let's make fun of her. I'm 12. And then it's like, oh, so-and-so has boobs. Let's make fun of her. Like, it's just so crazy. So she stuffed her bra. And then, yeah, I truly don't remember what I was talking about, Kira. I don't know why I got to that. Oh yeah, high school, and how everything's just such a high school. So before the pandemic, it just felt like comedy was just very like, it was very high school. And it was just a lot of comparing your insides to other people's outsides. A lot of like grind bragging, I guess. I don't know what the right word is, but just like, I'm grinding harder than everybody. And it's like, yeah, but you're an alcoholic, or yeah, you're slowly dying inside, or you're just running on a hamster wheel. And so then the world came to a stop, right? And then it forced most of us, like it brought the world came to its knees, and it brought most of us taking a good hard look at ourselves and like what we wanted and who we were. And then comedies are who we are, who we want to be, and then comedy comes back, and it's kind of back and it's kind of not, but it's like extra. And I don't know if it's just that it was gone for so long and then it's the way it was before. It's not worse. It's just like it was stopped for so long that now it just feels way in your face, and it's just a little bit too much. Like you didn't ease back into it, or if it's worse, but it is very much like, this is what I'm up to. I'm doing shows every single night. And then it's just, people are like, I'm seeing posts on Instagram of like, I'm going to start unfollowing people because my mental health is really bad, or I'm going to stop social media because my mental health is bad. And it's just, my God. So I don't know. I just started going back out there, and I'm not going out there a lot. More and more I will be. And it's not that I just don't feel inspired. And it's just, and every time I go out, I have a really good time. Like last night I performed at a place that before the pandemic, I used to just like groan when I'd go, right? The Universal Bar and Grill. And a dear friend of mine, Ryan Talmo, you should look into him. He is, he's a funny dude who produces a shit ton of shows in the Valley. And he's just, I've known him since I started comedy, and he's just an all around awesome dude. Right. And he produces this show at Universal Bar and Grill every couple of weeks. And I'm lucky enough that I can go anytime I want, right? And I went like 3 weeks ago, and I think I talked about this. I went like 3 weeks ago, and I was just like groaning because it's it's a dive bar in the middle of nothing, and like that, like the edge of North Hollywood. It's kind of sketchy, right? Like there's always, like someone said it perfectly last night. He was like, none of the homeless people over here are dangerous, but 3 of them will probably come in here tonight and try and tell stand-up comedy. Like it's like it's a sketchy, and a lot of people I know are like, oh, I like it because the stakes are low and you just get to have fun and work out up there. But I used to like dread going to it. Every time I'd say I'd do the show, I'd either back at like before pandemic, and it wasn't usually Tamo that would run the show. There was a couple of other people that run shows there. And I would back out, or I wouldn't show up, or I'd go and I would just be so annoyed, or I'd go and get real drunk just to like ease into the diviness of it all. And so I went a couple of weeks ago, and I sound so ungrateful. And I look at it now and I'm like, God, I really like, it was like, this is stage time and I get to work out shit I want to do. And I went a couple of weeks ago, a month ago, I want to say. And I get there, and Jen Murphy's there. And I've talked about Jen Murphy quite a bit on my show. She is one of my favorite comedians. She's, if you haven't looked into her, you should look up her comedy, and you should go see her live. She's hilarious, but she's also so awesome. She told me last night, she goes, oh my, I got a few a guy who read my book, has been listening to the show, and then also left a wonderful review about my book. Oh, by the way, buy my book. I don't know if you're listening to this, if you know, but I wrote a book, Confessions of a Recovering Party Girl. But she was like, oh, I mentioned it on my podcast. And I'm like, what? So she's just one of those people. It's one of those comics that like, you just are so grateful that is your friend, like, because she just wrote, like, there's a couple of, I appreciate that you guys let me just work out my thoughts about things every week after week. But they're comics that like are, and people, I imagine this is in every career. There are people that genuinely get excited when you fall. Like they enjoy when people fail, or they get mad or bitter when people succeed. I've unfortunately worked with a few of these people in my career, and it sucks. And no matter what you say, if you're like, no, I love that, it means if we're around somebody who's succeeding, maybe we'll, like high tides rise all ships, like trying to spin it so the person who's bitter about someone else's success, you can make it about them. So somehow they'll be excited for this other person's success when they'll never be. But sometimes you work with people, or you get to be friends with people in this business like Jen Murphy, that are like excited about your cool shit, And so I sit down next to her. She buys my book a month ago, right? She buys my book, and we had this whole talk, and I already told you guys about this whole talk about how I was like scared to be like, I have one now, you can buy it. And she goes, oh my God, I have that too, right? Like we all have that kind of thing. And so I was like, oh, the Universal Bar and Grill, it is what it is, just trying to get back out on stage time. And she goes, really? I love it here. And I was like, really? She goes, oh my God, it's walking distance to my place. I get to see all of my friends. I get to go on stage. I get to have a drink. I love it here. I'm here every Monday if I'm not booked. And I was like, huh, like that tiny shift of perspective. I was like, she's not wrong. I love it here too. And that night I had a goddamn blast. Like I got to see a bunch of people I haven't seen in a long time, got to laugh, made some boomerangs, told some jokes, got some laughs, got a couple of new bits out of it. And then last night, the same thing. I walked in and it was just like, oh man, I had a bunch of laughs. There was some cool people. It was like, it just was a cool experience. And I think that's where I'm going to take comedy right now, is just ease back into it, only do shit that I want to do. And you know what, maybe, and before I used to have all this shame around it, because, I did work with someone who would shame me into not being at the Improv Comedy Store, Laugh Factory, wouldn't be at those big clubs every night, grinding, trying to get the right people to find me funny. Please find me funny. Please find me funny. You know what I mean? He would have a lot of talks with me about how I wasn't at all these shows every night. I didn't like it. And you know what? I might like it, but like it took the joy out of what I want to do. And you know, maybe not forever, but for right now, I'm just going to do shows that make me happy. That sounds so, no one's really getting paid for good. Like there's like 10 people that are really getting paid for comedy, right? And then the rest of us are, yeah, we get paid here and there, but I'm just going to work on my auditions, my voiceover stuff, tell jokes, and maybe tell jokes every night. I love it. I love it. But I want to do stuff like that. I love it here. You know, I'm going to tell jokes at the Oaks Tavern on Monday. So a week from yesterday. Talmo runs I think a monthly show there. I'm not sure how long, every other week, maybe bi-monthly. I still don't know if it's bi-monthly or, yeah, I think it's bi-monthly. But I'm going to be there and that's going to be really fun. And I just am going to really try and steer away from the comparing my insides to other people's outsides, because that's how I feel a lot of our mental health is affected. Especially with social media, we don't show each other our fucked up times. You know, we don't show each other. I try to be really honest and open about that. That's what I want to do with my life. You know, I want to show people that we're all human, man. I mean, like social media does. It's just like, look how beautiful I am in front of this beach and my life is so good. And it's just like, yeah, but that person has an eating disorder or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, we don't have the full story on social media. We don't have people don't tell you their full story. And I'm just going to focus on the good humans that are around me and the good people that love me. And I'm going to just try and steer clear of the ones that I feel bad around. And I know that sounds like, duh, Kim, that's what you should do. But it's easier said than done. And so I'm just trying to simplify it. Like if I feel good when I'm around you, I will want to spend more time with you. If I feel bad when I'm around you, I will stop spending time with you. I'm going to make it that black and white right now, especially while I'm trying to like, you know, launch this thing I'm launching and taking care of my health, my best friend's health. That's my cat. And, you know, trying to, you know, start this whole thing. And that brings me up to another thing. And so last week was my dad's 6-year death anniversary. And I realized something that day. It wasn't, this Crawl Space was released the day before. And I realized something that day that, yes, it is always going to be kind of a melancholy day for me. Like, yeah, of course. Like, you know, I loved that guy. I'm happy he's gone. I know that. I mean, if you know the full story, you probably understand. And if you've listened to all the episodes, you understand. I feel safer in the world without him in it. And I realized that November, what month is this? August 5th. I realized that August 5th is kind of a weird anniversary for me. And I know it sounds, I didn't get to really breathe until he was gone. I didn't have a boyfriend, like an actual relationship boyfriend, until I cut him out of my life. I couldn't. He was too controlling. It was too much of an enmeshed, covert, overt relationship, right? My dad was like, you know, I was his wife my whole life. And that's so fucked up. But until I cut him out of my life, I wasn't able to date anybody. Like I'd try and date and it would, and you know, and every relationship I've had has been really fucked up. And I'm really hoping, you know, I'm working towards having a healthy relationship next. I mean, I hope that's what happened next. I'm terrified of that shit. But August 5th is sort of a anniversary of when I first started to get to live. That sounds so fucked up. And I shared it in my meeting because I knew people there would understand it. But maybe some of you, and I'm sharing it here now. So if you have those feelings, I couldn't breathe with him here. I didn't, before my dad passed, I was always in survival mode. Always. That's from the time I was born until, and I just never, people like, it was always like, you know, I wanted to be a famous actress and I want to be a famous comedian and I want to, you know, like those, like those button, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? A famous actress, you know, but like I never, I never planned for anything. I never had goals. Like it was never, as a kid, it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to go to college. I went to college on a whim. Like I found out there was an in-school acceptance day at my high school for UNC, not the cool one, the one in Greeley, Colorado. And I got accepted that day. And then I dropped out. And then it was just like, well, I'm going to move to Los Angeles. Like everything was just like, I just never thought that I'd have 5 more years, if that makes sense. Like people were like, what are you going to do? When you get to what's your degree? What's this? What's that? Like, I just never saw a future of any kind. It was just always in survival mode, always. Everything I did was just to survive this chaotic, traumatic childhood. And then I, got into adulthood and I was given these tools to survive a really awful situation, but then those tools didn't really work with the real world. But I only had that toolbox, so I continued to use that toolbox well into my 20s and well into my 30s. And then Tom died, and then 2 years of hitting a rock bottom. Jimmy the Dragon, if you've read my book, I'll tell you, I tell you all about that. I tell you all about the rock bottom. I hope you have bought my book. If you listen to this, I hope you have bought my book. I hope you've enjoyed it. Then I hit that rock bottom, and then I found myself in ACA. I reflected last Thursday and realized that, like, for the first time, a couple of years ago, for the first time ever in my life, I was planning for a future, and now I'm sitting here and it sucks a little bit. It sucks. Like, I know, like, it's like, I'm still really young. I get that, but I wish I would have had all of this when I was 29 or 19. And that's just not the cards I was dealt. I was dealt, kind of a rough hand, and it took me a while to get out of it. But now the possibilities are just fucking endless, man. And I just never felt that way. And until I wasn't able to until he passed away. And I know that sounds really fucked up. And I don't mean like he needed to die in order for me to live. That's so dramatic. But I just mean like I just was in survival mode. There were times, like when I had cut him out of my life, he would call me and tell me that he was just going to drive to LA and stand outside of my doorstep and force me to talk to him. This was the man that severely abused me for a long time. I was terrified of him. So there were years where I was just like, everywhere I was going, I was on pins and needles and fucking terrified that I was going to turn the corner and there would be my abuser for years. I'm talking 5-10 years. And I remember there was a point at Big Wang's, the bar I worked at for a long time. I was working with some girls who didn't understand that they shouldn't give out other girls' schedules over the phone. There were girls that were like, why wouldn't you want people to come visit you at work? And it's like, well, some of us have abusers that are trying to find out our schedules so they can hurt us. You don't give people schedules out. That's just a lot of the girls that worked at Big Wang's weren't the sharpest tools in the shed. A lot of them were some of the smartest women I've ever met in my entire life. It was really an either or situation, truthfully. It's either the dumbest people I've ever met in my life or the smartest people I've ever met in my life. And those of you who listen to this, who worked with me at Big Wang's, all of you are shaking your head and going, yep, 100%, 100%. One time I was explaining the menu. It's not rocket science, I know, but I was like trying to explain the menu to I had like 4 trainees. This girl who's so pretty. She won like Tropic Thunder. No, that's the movie. Tropic, I don't know. She won some beauty contest that was like one of the top in the world. So pretty, like stunning. And I'm explaining the thing and she's already dumb as rocks, right? She's just so dumb. Very sweet, very dumb. And I'm explaining the menu and I get done. I'm like, does anybody have any questions? And she's like, your eyes are literally the prettiest thing I've ever looked into. And I'm like, what? Were you listening? She's like, not really, no. I was like, Jesus. But like, why was I saying there? But yeah, so like some of the girls that worked there were some of the dumbest people I've ever met. But I remember I was terrified. It was when my dad had emailed me. I was like, I'm on my way. Well, he called and then he emailed. Said he was on his way to come visit. He was just going to hop in the car and just drive until I talked to him. We're going to talk about this. Out of his mind. Like I was out of his mind. And I had to tell this crazy manager we had, this gross manager. He was so gross. And I was like, hey, I have a personal situation to where I'm someone may show up here. I would prefer to not let anybody, like terrified. I was terrified for years. And then he died. And it was just like, I could breathe. And I have so much guilt about that. That's not survivor's guilt or whatever. I don't have guilt about it personally. I have guilt about it because I think my family is like, that's fucked up. But, you know, Tom didn't shower with them and stick his fingers in all of their orifices. So I guess they don't get to have an opinion on that. But like, Jesus, sorry. But yeah, like so last Thursday, I just decided to switch the anniversary. Yeah, it's the day Tom died, but it's also the day that I finally started to breathe for the first time. Now I have all these dreams and possibilities, and you know, they don't involve posting, you know, shit on Facebook in order to get everyone to feel bad. And I know people that do that, and I know people that, I don't know, man. I'm seeing it a lot lately, and how people, especially I see it on, you know, people are announcing it. They're like, I feel really bad. Social media is making me feel bad about myself. I'm going to quit for a little bit. And just, I don't know, if you take anything from anything I've ever said, this is a big one. Don't compare your insides to other people's outsides. It's some of the most sound advice I've ever gotten. So I was thinking about the first time I went to Denver. Do you want to hear the most, like, this is one of those shows that we're taking a left turn. This is one of those shows that still haunts me. I was treated poorly. It was like not just that I bombed, but I was treated really poorly. So there's this show. So when I was like 3 years into comedy, maybe. No, I think I had taken my 2 years off because of that whole situation that I talked about last week that I don't want to get into now. I'd taken 2 years off. So I was like less than a year back. Right. And so I was going to Denver to visit my family. And my cousin was like, hey, I know this guy who runs this really great comedy show in Denver. I bet I could get you on it. And so I had a website, and I had like clips up of myself on the website. Right. And so my cousin gave it to this guy, and he was like, yeah, absolutely. We'll totally have her on. And I was like, yo, I'll bring people too. Cause like I'm coming in from Denver, and this is the first time I've ever performed in Denver. So I assume people are going to show up. And they're like, cool. Thank you so much. So I get there, and I'm like, hi, I'm Kim Kral. And I can't remember. I think it's like The Gentleman or something like that. I can't even remember what the show is called. So I don't remember any of these people. I think one of the guys' name is like Adam. Every now and then he pops up in my feed. I guess we're friends on Facebook, but they were so I walk up and I'm like, hi, I'm Kim Kral. And I have been judged by what I look like the whole time, right? Almost every woman I would say every woman can say that. When I wasn't a very pretty person, I was judged for that. When I am a very pretty person, I'm judged for that, right? We're just women are just judged by what they look like. We got to change that. It's fucking annoying. So I go up, and I was like, hi. And they're like, hi, thanks for doing the show. But they're kind of mean, right? They're real cold. And I'm like, all right, well, they're like, you're number 5. You'll be up at 5. And I was like, cool. And, here's my introduction and whatever. So I'm outside, I'm smoking, still cigarette smoker at this point. So I'm smoking a cigarette. And they come down, this guy comes down, and he goes, you Kim? And I was like, yeah. He's like, you've been bumped. You're up next. And I was like, oh shit, I'm up right now? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, oh my God, okay. Do I have time to go to the bathroom? He's like, no, you're literally up in like 1 minute. And I was like, oh shit. Now let me tell you, a lot of people came to see this. A lot of people. I think a lot of people that will never come see me do comedy again because they saw this monstrosity, and people outside of the comedy world don't understand that, like, I got better. Like, you shouldn't have come and seen me a year in. Of course, I'm not going to be funny. This takes a decade to even get kind of funny. You know what I mean? Like, this takes a long time to perfect, which is a nightmare. And those of us who love it, have to do it. Right. And so Adam, my first love, the one who's making tallies about how much he has been pooping, he was there. His best friend was there. A few of my 10 of my best friends from like high school and college were there. Oh God, it was at least 15 people that I knew. My cousin was there. Oh man, I still have nightmares about this fucking night. And so they're like, no, you're up now. And I was like, oh, I don't have time to pee. He's like, no, it's literally 1 minute. We're calling you. And I was like, oh, okay. So I guess I'm just going to go up there having to pee. Hopefully I don't pee my pants, asshole. So I'm up there, I'm waiting. And by the way, I had enough time to pee. The girl on stage went on for like another 7 minutes. I don't know if she ran light. I don't know if he was BSing me. I for sure had time to pee. So I go up and he introduces me. At the time, I was running a show that a lot of you might know, Mouthy Pants with Whitney. And it's important for the introduction, was running Mouthy Pants. Also important for the story, people in Colorado, I don't know if it's true now, but growing up, people in Colorado hate people from California. I think it's a lot of people from California moved to Colorado. I can't remember, but anytime there's California plates, it's like, fuck LA, fuck California, come to Colorado, like really uppity about it, right? So everyone in Colorado hates California, especially Los Angeles. And it's all like granola and hippie bullshit. So I'm like, I'm blonde. No, I don't think I'm blonde at that time, but I look like a broad from LA. So he introduces me as the next woman coming to the stage is from LA. Like, come on, man. From LA. And she runs some show called, I don't know, like Mouthy Penis or something. I can't remember, but she's from LA. Give it up for Kim Kral. Like, get my name wrong, everything. And I walk out of there and I hate it when fucking producer or when hosts do this, like say something like mouthy penis. So then I'm trying to figure it, like now I would just be like, I would just ignore the introduction and I would just do my jokes. But then I was new. So I felt like I had to explain that it was mouthy pants. And so I'm eating into my time explaining what mouthy pants is to a crowd of people who've already prejudged me because I'm from LA. So now I'm trying to explain that I'm not from LA. I'm actually from Denver. I just live in LA. I know how much you guys hate people from LA. I live in LA. So now I'm just eating in the time and just digging a hole, no jokes. And then I just start talking about my bloody vagina. And like, now you gotta, like, I've learned, now I'm much funnier. I know you gotta, ease yourself. You gotta ease people into who you are, Kim Kral. You can't be like bloody vagina. I mean, I still do that sometimes. I usually open up with a poop my pants joke. Or no, I don't. Always. Last night I did it was funny, but like, oh man. And then if you are a comedian, the look on your friend's face, you can see them. And the room wasn't dark, it was like in like a cafeteria ish, like there was a stage, but like it wasn't dark with the spotlight, it was just a room that was, the lights were on, so I could see every single face. It was packed. A lot of people that had known me most of my life. The guy that I was in love with for the first time I ever got to be in love, was sitting in the front row. Hadn't seen him in years. Hadn't seen him since we ended things. And then he proposed to the next girl he dated, right? Like, had like years. Oh, Henry's up. And so I'm just watching them like have like the half smile, but behind their eyes they're like, oh my God, she is not funny at all. It's and for them that's a nightmare, right? Like that is the worst. That is a nightmare. Like I remember when I told jokes in San Diego, I don't know, for the first time, and it was like 8 years ago or something, maybe 6 years ago. And my buddy Ali, who lives down there, he came to see the show, and afterwards he goes, oh my God, I'm so grateful you're funny. And I was like, why? He goes, that's the worst. That's the worst case scenario, when your friend's not funny. Then what the fuck do you say to them afterwards? Because they need you to say they're funny. But if they're really not funny, you don't want to be like, you're hilarious, you should keep wasting your life. And so it's a nightmare on both sides. And we walk out, people are like, no, you were really funny. But they were so rude to me, these guys, so rude to me. The only two comics that were kind to me on the show, one guy was like, oh my God, yeah, you just started? He's like, you're really funny. He's like, yeah, I'm from San Francisco. I tour all around the country, like headlining comic, talking to me. And then the other guy was, my friend was like, that guy's the biggest comic in Denver. He now lives in LA. I know him, right? We were friends. And so it's like the only two people that were kind to me on that show were people that are actually like doing shit outside of this one tiny show in Denver. So that gave me some solace, but these dudes were so rude to me. And my cousin was like, that's so crazy. Cause he's like, and it was validating. It was so nice that he was like, yeah, they're being really fucked up to you. And I was like, so I'm not just being sensitive. He goes, no, how they threw you up with no warning, how they haven't offered you a drink, how they like had like this like beer cart that were like $5 a beer or something like that they bought from like the Rite Aid down the street or wherever they fucking buy beer in Colorado. I don't think they buy it at gas. They buy it at like, they have liquor stores there. And he's like, they made you pay for those, even though they were free to the other comics. Like, he was like, they were so rude to you. And I was like, oh, it felt validating. At least he was like, oh, you're valid that these guys are dicks, right? And I was like, yeah, it's but then he was like, I'm a musician, and when acts come from other states, we treat them like royalty. We're like happy they're doing our show. And I'm like, yeah, they didn't treat me like that at all. They acted like I was just some no funny broad that they were doing a massive favor for. Oh man, that still haunts me. It still fucking haunts me. I don't know if that's a funny story or not, or if it's just a really grim way to end this whole thing. Yeah, so I'm back telling jokes, and I love it. And I don't want the beginning part of what I was saying tell you that I don't still love it. Of course, I'll have to be a stand-up comic until I'm dead. Comics will tell you that you didn't pick this, it picked you. Like, I have to do it. It sounds wild. It sounds crazy. I have to do this. But I'm just going to be a little bit less grinding and a little bit less freaked out about what people think I should be doing, because everybody, it's so funny. The people that have the most opinions about other people's shit have the least amount going on in their life, or don't want to look at their own stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, put down the magnifying glass and pick up the mirror. That's a popular saying, I think. At least it is in the 12-step movement. But yeah, the people who've criticized my career the most, and the people that have criticized me not doing enough, the one who said I should be at the Improv or the Laugh Factory or Comedy Store every single night. I should be networking every night, no matter what. And it's like, yeah, well, I have mental illness, like most of the people in that scene who should be getting help, right? And like, my mental health is more important, and and I feel like the healthier I've gotten, the funnier I've gotten, and the less I give a fuck about that stuff. So I am excited to be back. I am going to be a little bit more, just do shit that makes me feel good. And honestly, I think if I just keep doing things that make me feel good, performing with people that make me feel good, I think I'll find more success. I just think it's like the law of attraction. If I'm like trying to force this in because I think everyone thinks I should be doing this, and it's hard. I'm saying this mostly for myself out loud, because it is hard to see on social media, people that started after you getting bigger and bigger stuff. It is hard, or hard to see, someone that you're like, oh, I didn't even know they did that, are blowing up. That's human. That is a human response. What I'm saying is, you have no idea what's going on behind closed doors. I do know that someone who I was having a lot of weird and jealousy of, I mentioned to somebody, I was like, yeah, I'm having this weird jealousy about the most random person, right? Somebody that I've never thought in a billion years I'd have any sort of like envy of, and not in a shitty way. I just mean, like, it never crossed my mind. And they were like, well, yeah, that guy has like a crippling drinking problem. And like, this is the only thing that's keeping him from like jumping off a cliff. And I'm like, oh God, there it is again. Don't compare your insides to other people's outsides. Because maybe I'm not standing on the biggest stage right now, but I am the happiest I've ever been. I'm really fucking freaked out. I'll tell you that, though. I'm really fucking freaked out. It's just, I'm freaked out because the purgatory thing. I don't even, purgatory is the right word, but it does feel like that, like, weird in between, right? It's not open yet, but it's not closed. Some people are just living their life free balling like nothing's going on. And some people are just like staying in and totally freaked out. It's just such a weird time. So I'm going to just say what I always say. Be so nice to yourself, man. Just breathe and be cool to yourself. Like, and I need to say it for myself too, where I'm like, I need to be doing more. I need to be doing more. I need this. I need that. I blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, it's always worked out, right? It's always worked out. And I think for the most part, most of us have too many ties to the world for us to be left behind. I was driving around Hollywood the other day, and the homeless situation, man. Maybe this is a bummer of an episode, sorry. But the homeless situation, man, I'm just like, how on earth, how did we allow so many people to get left so far behind? And how did we allow like Elon Musk and fucking Bezos to get so far ahead? I read this quote from this like economist from like 1919. I couldn't tell you his name, but I know it was an economist, and I know he was from 1919 because I liked the number. And I'm paraphrasing here, but he says the sign of a strong society is that the powerful isn't too powerful and the weak isn't too weak. And we are not a strong society, my friends, because the powerful is really fucking powerful and the weak. And it's not just LA, man, like the homeless situation, we've just let so many people fall behind. And that's where I'm saying, like, I have so many ties to the world that will never happen to me. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for that. And that's my one lucky broad. I'm one lucky broad that I got a lot of really, I got ties to this world. I've got a lot of really amazing friendships and family and friendships that are my family, I'm really, really scared right now. I'm just scared. And I think that's okay. And I'm admitting it and saying it out loud because maybe if I say it and you're listening and you're feeling scared too, maybe you won't feel so alone because it is isolating. It's isolating. And working on yourself is isolating too. I've lost a lot of people in my life. Toxic people just sort of fucked off on their own, but it's still fucking isolating when you're like, I can't in good conscience be a part of X, Y, and Z. You know what I mean? Like I can't do it. I need to it's isolating and I'm scared. And I know it'll work out. It always does. And it'll probably work out in ways beyond my wildest dreams. God, if you would have told me 2 years ago that I would be sitting in my closet recording a podcast that people actually want to listen to while after this finishing another voiceover audition and then signing a book I wrote for a bunch of people who want to buy it and read it, I would have been like, what? That makes no sense. Good for future Kim, but you also have this confidence and this love for yourself that you've never had before. And it's just like things will just work out beyond your wildest dreams. I know that. But it's just a little scary right now. So get vaccinated. I imagine nobody listens to this who's not vaccinated. Once again, I think I went through a really big meltdown last year where I yelled almost every single episode about masks and Trump. I think I scared off all the anti-vaxxers. I'm imagining, but it's just such a dumb. It's so dumb, and I'll leave it at this. It's just so stupid to me because people are like, you can't force us to get vaccinated. The fact that they're making us get vaccinated to go to school or go to this or be a doctor, it's like, yeah, those are immunization cards. We all have those. We all had to get vaccines in order to go to elementary school. Like I have my immunization card in my filing cabinet. Like this is not a new thing. It's just so stupid. Like it is beyond some of the stupidest stuff I've ever seen in my entire life. Like it's the dumbest. I know one girl that I don't think she's been vaccinated and we're not friends anymore really. I would kill to find out why, just because it's so dumb. And I don't mean to laugh and maybe it's really petty, but fuck, dude. It's just like the people that are like, they can't tell me what to do with my body. And then they're like, oh, but we definitely need to be regulating women's bodies because, abortion is murder and we care about children, but we definitely we're not going to support the child once it's alive because you should have a job, but we shouldn't have taxpayer. It's the Republican Party is like the party of hypocrisy. It's wild. It's wild to me. And it's for sure like some of the dumbest people. It's like Big Wang, some of the dumbest people and the smartest people, because the smartest people are on top and they know if they keep these people dumb, these dumb people will keep voting for them to be up there and they'll keep making the money and they'll keep doing all this. And the dumb people will keep spouting off their idiotic rhetoric or whatever. I don't even know rhetoric is the right word, but spouting off this idiotic shit about my body, my choice, but not her body or her. It's just so crazy. It's maddening. I think that's my soapbox for the day. But yeah, be kind to each other, man. Just be kind. It's so hard out there. What is that? I don't know who said it, but in a world where you can be anything you want, be kind. Just be fucking kind. I think that's it. I think send some good vibes my way. My booty bear is going to the vet on Friday to get a bunch of blood work done, and that gives Kim Kral a lot of anxiety. He's just such a good boy. God, I love that cat. I love him so much. And then I'm going to a doctor finally. Hopefully we can you know what? I'd be cool being an inhaler person for the rest of my life. That really, really sucks. I hope that's not the case, but I would rather an answer than just no answers. So I don't know. Send some good vibes my way. I'll be sending some good vibes your way. Thank you for listening. I am updating my Patreon is all updated. I have the levels are different. You'll be hearing from me if you are a Patreon person. It helps the show, helps me support the show. If you become a Patreon, you can become a Patreon for as little as $3 a month. I'm so uncomfortable doing this like promotional thing, but $3 a month, you get a couple of extra episodes a month. And you get a headshot signed. I'll send that to you, get some stickers. It'll be fun, so if you can support the show that way. And I'm going to be recording Confessions of a Recovering Party Girl as an audiobook. And I think I'm going to give that to all of my Patreon subscribers. I'm going to send you a download. So if that's a good incentive for you to, or I'll just put it up on YouTube and you guys can watch it that too, but I'll send you an actual download. If that's incentive, I would just love it if you could become a subscriber. It really would help me a lot. And I think that's good enough promotion. So embarrassing, so embarrassing, so uncomfortable, right? But I'm going to channel my inner badass broad. I was thinking of Eliza Schlesinger. Like she would be like, yeah, join my Patreon. There's a bunch of cool shit on there that you'll want to see. I'm funny. So I'm channeling my inner her. If you haven't checked her out, if she sees me, she says hi and waves at me. She knows my face, which is so cool, but she doesn't really know me. But she is my favorite female comedian, my favorite comedian. So goddamn funny. And also gives back to other comics, which is cool. I went into a weird spiral. So join my Patreon. I would love that. All of my episodes are up on YouTube. If you want to buy my book, you can. You can get it on Amazon, or if you want a signed copy, I am sending out the batch I sent out. By the time you get this, I sent out the batch yesterday. So today will be Wednesday, whatever. The batch went out. The next round will be going out in a week or so. So get the orders in and then follow me on Instagram because I'm giving the book away too. I'm doing some giveaways. KYMKRAL. The book is called Confessions of a Recovering Party Girl. Anything you can do would be, I would love it. I would love it. And I love all your support. And send me your poop scoops. Say hi. KYMKRALSPACE at gmail.com. KimKralspace@gmail.com. Please rate, review if you get a chance. I think that's all the stuff I'm going to ask you to do. That was a long list, but if you get a moment to do any of it, or if you want to join Patreon, all of it would mean the fucking world to me. Thank you, everybody. I will talk to you next week. Bye. Kral space, I'm Kral.